ABC News Special Report.
Good afternoon. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. We're coming back on the air because of the breaking news. 2 members of the National Guard shot in Washington, D.C. Let's listen into authorities right now holding a press briefing.
Mayor.
Thank you. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I, too, want to send my thoughts and prayers to the families of the Guardsmen and to the Guardsmen who are in critical condition in a local hospital. I am joined by members and leadership from the D.C. National Guard, from the West Virginia National Guard, United States Secret Service, Deputy Mayor Pia, Fire Chief Donnelly, and Metro's General Manager Randy Clark, and we join with the FBI Director in ensuring that MPD investigates, the U.S. Attorney prosecutes this case to the fullest extent of the law. I've had the opportunity to brief U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who was speaking to the president when I called, as well as the United States Attorney Pirro, who assured me that this case will have her office's complete attention.
Mayor, was there any other suspect?
Chief.
Sure. So no, at this time, there's no indication that there was any other suspect. The one suspect that was involved in this incident, they were shot during the interaction, and they were transported to the hospital for treatment.
Mayor, does this validate the need for the National Guard here in D.C.?
What we know, Andrea, is that this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these Guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
Mayor, can you tell us any more details on the condition of the 2 National Guardsmen and
Chief.
whether or not anyone else was injured? And a quick question follow-up for the FBI Director. You said that we'll make sure we find the perpetrators for this act. So just to clarify, the person believed to be responsible is in custody and there are no other suspects?
Sure, so I can start out. Again, Chief Carroll from MPD. So both the individuals, the Guard members, they are in critical condition in a local hospital at this time being treated. At this point, we have no other suspects. We have reviewed video from the area. It appears, like I said, to be a lone gunman that raised the firearm and ambushed these members of the National Guard, and he was quickly taken into custody by other National Guard members and law enforcement members.
Have you got any sense of motive?
No, at this time, obviously, we're very in the preliminary stages of investigation. There's a lot of things, a lot of agents that are here from various federal agencies, law enforcement agencies. We have the full power of the FBI and our federal partners here in the task force. So we're looking at all those different aspects, but we don't have any motive.
Were the National Guardsmen armed, sir?
The National Guardsmen that were shot, I'm told they were armed.
Did they get off shots?
At this time, that's part of the preliminary investigation.
Do we know who shot the suspect?
Chief.
Sure. So how the suspect was apprehended, as I said, the individual, the suspect came around the corner. He immediately started firing a firearm at the 2 National Guard members. So at that time, there were other National Guard members that were in the area. They heard the gunfire. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground until law enforcement got there within moments.
And he was shot by a National Guardsman?
At this point, we're still investigating exactly who shot the individual. It's not clear at this time.
Were there D.C. policemen in the area?
We don't know what kind of weapon. There was D.C. police. It happened right in front of the Metro, although there is no indication that the perpetrator was on the Metro. So there's Metro Transit Police in the area, and obviously being on 17th Street by the White House, Uniformed Division of Secret Service were in the immediate area as well.
What kind of weapon the alleged perpetrator used?
We do not know at this time. It's still under investigation.
We're going to be able to take a couple more.
Has been able to question the suspect, or is his condition so severe that you haven't been able to have a conversation?
Sure. Again, so as I said, we're very preliminary in the investigation, so we're looking into all aspects of who the individual is, his connections. At this time, he's still in the hospital receiving treatment.
And I would just like, hang on, I would just like to add, the reason that this suspect is in custody is because of the bravery of the men and women of the National Guard who responded due to their extensive training to secure American lives today. There was not any further injury and any further shootings. We should highlight the fact that the men and women of law enforcement, the interagency, the Department of War, and the National Guard executed their training with great precision today and prevented an even greater tragedy from befalling us. These National Guardsmen are heroes, and we must pray for their safety and their speedy recovery. And as the Chief said, we are in the preliminary stages of this investigation. We will run down every single lead, every piece of evidence This is the power of the U.S. government at its best at the state, local, and federal level. That is why this interagency group is standing behind us to assure America and the world that we will continue to keep D.C. safe. And thankfully, we have Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guardsmen, and federal agents, and the Department of Justice and an Attorney General willing to prosecute the mission to keep Americans safe. And President Trump has rightly stated that this heinous act will be investigated, and he has thanked the National Guardsmen and women and the men and women of law enforcement.
Thank you.
Did the suspect say anything at the time? Why did the West Virginia governor...
And you're watching a press briefing there in Washington, D.C., including Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C., the FBI Director Kash Patel, and other officials who were giving an update on this shooting that happened just a couple of blocks from the White House. 2 members of the National Guard, a male and a female, shot and seriously wounded, both sent to area hospitals in critical condition. Officials saying they're the suspect, a lone suspect, appeared to target these members of the National Guard. That suspect was also shot in an exchange of gunfire and is now in custody in a local hospital. Let's go ahead and check in with ABC's Jay O'Brien, who's on the scene right now. Jay, beyond what we learned in the press conference, what more can you tell us about what happened there at the scene?
I just want to show you, Whit, where all of this seems to have occurred. It's right here at this metro station. This is the Farragut West metro station. It's that thing that kind of looks like a half-open garage door. This is where that attack seems to have been concentrated. I spoke with our Chris Plater, who's our cameraman, who's on the other end of the lens of that camera right now. He was one of the first people here on the scene. He said about half a dozen or so gunshots that he presumes to be the suspect firing, and then he heard a torrent of gunfire of those National Guard troops returning fire, striking that suspect. And when he arrived right here, right to the metro station, he saw those 2 wounded guardsmen laying there on the ground receiving first aid, one getting compressions, the other laying on their side. And then I saw one of those guardsmen, when I ran here to the scene, being loaded into an ambulance that sped out here with a police escort. I can tell you, Whit, it has since calmed as this investigation continues and the scene is being processed, but it was chaotic here in the early moments. We saw, according to eyewitnesses, and Chris saw it as well, people running through this park here for safety. And then, of course, we saw those National Guard troops who have been stationed across Washington, D.C. for months now, running here to this scene to check on the status of their brothers in arms. As I ran here to cover the story, I was behind 3 or so National Guard troops on their cell phones sprinting here to this metro station, trying to get a sense of what transpired.
All right, Jay O'Brien for us. We appreciate it. Let's bring in ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, because, Pierre, there were also some conflicting reports about the conditions of the 2 members of the National Guard. There was some information put out by the governor of West Virginia. These 2 Guard members are from West Virginia, but at the presser, officials are saying that they are listing them both in critical condition. What more could you tell us about them, and then also what we know about this now targeted attack?
Well, with the information the governor put out, thankfully turned out not to be accurate. The governor did, in fact, put out that both National Guardsmen had been killed in this attack. The D.C. police now briefing that both are in critical condition. That's the good news. The concern here is what the mayor just said a few moments ago, that this appears to be a targeted attack, that the suspect appeared to be focused on the National Guardsmen, immediately engaged them in an attack, and was actually apprehended after attacking these 2 particular National Guardsmen, apprehended by the National Guard. The FBI is now involved. This is now a huge investigation.